obviously decided to answer a really easy and simple question today. How do we change the world? With so many of the world's entrenched challenges, whether it's hunger, homelessness, or any other issue, what is it that we can do to make the world a better place? My name is Vuong, and I would suggest that one of the most effective and sustainable ways of creating that change is through business. Let me explain. Chances are, in your lifetime, you will probably work for a business. And what is it that makes that business work? Or perhaps I should be asking, who is it that makes that business work? You do. We do. So really, in practice, you are business. We are business. Now, what is business really? Why don't we start with the more common definition that most of us are familiar with. Business is about making money. And yes, there is no denying it. There is most definitely commercial activity in the buying and selling of goods and services. But there's so much more to it than that. Think about what goes into making that final transaction possible. There's the research and development, the manufacturing of the product, the logistics, the delivery, and so on. There's also innovation in there. To do what? To address a need or to solve a problem. Now, what happens, though, when something goes wrong? Say there's a disruption in the supply chain. Perhaps there's a fire at that widget manufacturing plant. Or maybe there's a flood or a labor disruption. What happens? Business will go in and innovate their process and look at what is it that it can do to both deal with the current disruption and mitigate the risk of a second disruption. But what decides which of those challenges is a priority? How do we decide the best solution and the best path forward? Well, remember, who is business? We are business. And our personal values inform that solution. Some people say the marrying of your personal values with business is called social enterprise, where business is a force for good. Now, I want to take a moment here and acknowledge that there's a couple of different definitions. Some people call it social purpose organization. Others call it a social venture. For today, we'll just stick with social enterprise. Another quick pause. Some people think of social enterprise as the most revolutionary new idea ever. Business that does good. Wow. Oh my God. This is what Indigenous peoples has been practicing for tens of thousands of years. Collective action for collective impact. It just wasn't described this way. And there's so much that we can learn from Indigenous peoples. But ladies and gentlemen, that is another talk. So our businesses, and what we're seeing is our values carrying through more clearly now. And we see this with business and CSR, or corporate social responsibility. I'm here to advocate for us to jump past that. Enough with CSR. Today's talks is about accelerated evolution. Let's accelerate the evolution of our business to social enterprise, to do good and change the world. Because in a social enterprise, there's no need for a CSR department to do social or environmental good, because in a social enterprise, social and environmental good is inherent in everything they do. Take, for example, Edgar and Joe's Cafe, a social enterprise of Goodwill Industries in Ontario, Great Lakes, where they are providing good food, social support, and helping to break down stigmas around mental illness. They're doing this to build up our most vulnerable. Now, before I go in and talk a little bit more about what Edgar and Joe's does and how they do it, let's take a look at how a traditional cafe could operate under the old model. Under the old model, a cafe could look at donating some of its profits, a la CSR, to support and fund perhaps some mental health services, provide some good food. But remember, we're here today for accelerated evolution, We're here for the next evolution of business, and that's exactly what Edgar and Joe's Cafe is, where they're creating good work while also providing mental health, social support services, breaking down stigma, helping to lift up our most vulnerable and build better communities through business. Through business, not charity, but through business. So how do they do it? Edgar and Joe's partners with the Goodwill Career Center as part of something called their hands-on hospitality program that trains, employs, and apprentices people, particularly those who face barriers, and prepares them for the food, and you guessed it, for the hospitality industry. They do this while providing access to good food, nutritious, affordable, all while providing a platform for dialogue that showcases success stories and breaks down stigmas and changes the narrative around mental illness. This is the next evolution of business, where social and environmental values are in the DNA of the organization, where it's not practiced sometimes, or when it's convenient, or when it's profitable, but all of the time. So you might be wondering at this point, all right, Kevin, this sounds great. Social and environmental values and good in the organization. But what if I'm not at a newer organization? What if I'm at an established organization with long-standing values and practices? You know what? That is a good question, Gary. And to you, I want to say, social procurement. What is social procurement? I'm going to tell you an example, or give you an example of a social enterprise, but before, let me set the stage for social procurement. Right now, across the globe, governments are investing billions of dollars in infrastructure. There's a unique opportunity for us to creatively deploy those funds to not just develop infrastructure, but also to create decent work, to build healthier livelihoods and social impact. So, Psychohome. This is a social enterprise that I'm proud to have helped to co-found. And we heard that there's a priority neighborhood here, right here in the city of Toronto, that needed some bike infrastructure. But the community also faced other challenges around a lack of training and job opportunities. So what did we do? Well, first, let's take a look at the traditional procurement process. Normally, what the city would do is they would go out and source what was, in this case, bike racks. They would buy those externally, and they would install in community. Not bad. The community now has some bike racks. But in doing it this way, there's a missed opportunity in that entire process itself. So instead, my team and I created a public-private partnership with labor, where we hired and trained at-risk youth from the community to build it themselves. More than just creating jobs now, though, we also engaged the community in that process of designing the bike racks so that we have more than just functional bike racks, like the not quite as exciting hoop bike racks we often see on the streets, but art. Art that reflects the values and heritage of the community, that reflects their aspirations. We also worked with the community to see where those bike racks should best be located. Because who knows better than them who will be using it where it should go? So you're at an organization, whether it's a business, a government, not-for-profit, you need goods and services. Why not innovate your procurement process for social impact? Say you have a meeting that needs to be catered. Why not use this as an opportunity to hire a catering company that employs newcomer women to cook food for their families and sells a surplus? Why not use this as an opportunity to hire a contractor who employs people who face barriers? Or why not use this as an opportunity to procure your supplies from a social enterprise? Because business is embedded into the fabric of our society. Why not harness it as a force for good? Why not harness our incredible abilities as the leaders and operators of business to solve climate change, to fight hunger, to advance the Sustainable Development Goals. Social enterprise or social procurement. These are things that are being done right now. Edgar and Joe's Cafe is doing it. Psychohome is doing it. And this is something that I know you can do. I know we can do it now. Let's change the fabric of society together. Together, let's make business a force for good. Together, let's work towards a solution on some of our world's most entrenched challenges. And together, let's build a world that leaves no one behind. So, how will you change the world? Thank you.